Thanks for listening to Word on the Street. You're listening to the hottest party on talk radio. We appreciate you joining. Here now to dispel a rumor as to why he has not been on the show since Shelley Winter, his good friend, voted for Warnock and Ossoff. He is the most powerful man in Georgia, and he is the governor that knows how to open a state in the middle of a pandemic. Governor Brian Kemp, welcome back to Word on the Street.
Hey, great to be back. Hope you guys have been doing well.
We have, and my sister has been making fun of both of us, so we appreciate you coming on and not turning your back on us. But before we go any further, I want to ask you about vax hesitancy and stuff like that. But before we go any further, as Milani Kai said, were you mad at me because of my vote in a runoff?
I've been boycotting you, Shelley. but you got the opportunity in 2022 to redeem yourself and vote for me.
Yes.
So there are brighter days ahead.
So you canceled me, sir?
He did.
No.
Governor Kemp, I kept saying, Shelley, are you sure he's not mad at you? He said, no, not Governor Kemp. I said, this is the governor who would just be randomly driving back to Georgia and say, hey, I'll just call in and listen to let you know you guys are funny, listening to Word on the Street. And I said he stopped. Mysteriously, he just stopped. So you and Shelley, should we say there's a reunion?
It wasn't you, Monty. It was all Shelley.
Well, you guys are back, and we're really, really happy to have you back on the show. We know you've been busy, though.
Absolutely.
No, we have definitely been busy.
And you've done a wonderful job, as Milani Kai alluded to. One of the things I did want to ask you before we get to vax hesitancy, I want to ask you: do you feel that you've been missed or treated unfairly by the national media, but in particular here in local media here in Georgia, on the job that you've done over the entire COVID pandemic?
Well, Shelley, that's an interesting question. I mean, it just comes with the territory. It's been frustrating for me at times. I've never been, kind of a non-believer in crying in politics. It is what it is. You got to deal with it. And we're working hard every day for the people of this state, and that means all the people of this state. I told people that when I got sworn in, that I was going to be a governor for everybody, whether you voted for me or not. It is kind of been interesting during the pandemic that it's like the media, or at least some of it, just focuses on the worst data point that's out there. I mean, we could have 9 things going really good, but then they'll be focused on the one negative thing versus, just letting people know the full picture. That's been a little frustrating. But that's why we've just used social media. That's why we're tweeting our vaccine numbers every day. I mean, we've given 1 million shots in the last 25 days in the state of Georgia. I mean, that is getting it done, and that's what we got to do to get back to normal and get past this pandemic.
We're talking to Governor Brian Kemp on Word on the Street. Governor, how important is your faith when it comes to being able to handle opposition? Like you said, sometimes you feel the frustration. How does your faith play into the calm demeanor that you've had, even when the president and you went national, people were saying negative things about you?
Well, look, I do have strong faith. My family does too. We've been through a lot of really tough personal issues this year with the family, and you just don't get through those things if you don't have that. That's certainly been, helpful to me to keep me principled, to keep me grinding away, even when others are saying things about you that aren't necessarily true. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that what goes around comes around, that the truth will come out, and people are realizing what we're doing every day in the state, and we're putting that out there and letting them comprehend that. And I'm very comfortable. I've always said Georgia voters, they're smart. You may look at them and think, well, they don't know this or they don't know that because they work on a construction site or they're in a manufacturing facility or, they're cleaning a school or serving in a lunchroom or whatever. Let me tell you, people are smart. They get it. They're around people every day, and they realize, what we're doing. And I think the more we continue to tell them that and just be honest with them. Now, if you start lying to them and try to convince them you're doing something you're not, that's what's going to catch up with you. And we're just letting the facts lay where they may, and there's been times when I've been frustrated that our response hasn't been what it needed to be, and I've let people know my displeasure with that, and we moved the needle, whether it was on testing, whether it was on, some of the providers weren't getting vaccines out, and you're seeing that got changed very quickly, so we'll continue to do that.
On vax hesitancy, in your press conference, which I thought was an awesome press conference, How is the state going to address the people that are hesitant to get vaccines, particularly in the minority communities? What's the plan there or the messaging there?
Yeah, I saw a really interesting data point yesterday, Shelley, on that, and I think that's changing a little bit. I mean, that's certainly still out there, and we got to continue to work on that. I've visited with the HBCU presidents. I've been to Morehouse School of Medicine. I've been to Savannah State. We were up in Gainesville meeting with the Latino community. But I think now that more and more people are getting the vaccines, people's coworkers are getting it. They're seeing a lot of high-profile people get it, whether it's athletes, entertainers, or what have you. I think that's changing the narrative, and we just got to continue to message that. I mean, right now we continue to have a lot more demand than we have supply. I'm afraid it's going to be that way the whole time, but maybe not when we get this Johnson & Johnson wrapped up, and if we get one more vaccine to come on. But we certainly saw that early on. I do feel like it's getting a little bit better, but we got to continue to work on that. And I think you guys can be a big voice for that.
All right. Well, half of us can, because we have four people on the show. Two of us are going to get it. One goes back and forth, and the other one is adamant against it. But we are trying to convince her. I'm not gossiping about anybody, but we're trying to convince her to do it. Moving forward.
Don't make me send the government down there to get her. I'm just kidding, obviously.
No, that's a good bid. The police state. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not going there. I'm just kidding.
Right. If you didn't force us to wear masks, I know you're not going to force us to take vaccines. Speaking of masks, the reopening of the state, what do you anticipate? Can we safely say that possibly by the summer we'll be back to, I'm doing air quotes, normal?
Yeah, I had an interesting call with some fellow governors the other day, and it was kind of interesting. They were geographically around different parts of the country, and they all felt like, late spring going into summer, things would be good. Other, medical advisors to private corporations that I've talked to really feel like we're going to have a fairly normal 4th of July. I certainly hope that's the case. We're going to know more. I think today we've got a call, the team does, with the Biden administration about the amounts of vaccines we're going to be getting here coming up, and that'll give us a lot more really viability into what we can target over the next month, and I think we'll answer that question better. If there's a substantial amount of the vaccine that we're going to be getting here in the next 30 to 45 days, I could see us getting back to normal late spring, early part of the summer.
Well, Governor Kemp, the Atlanta Track Club has they're going on. They want to go on that prediction because they're certainly saying on July the 4th there's in-person running. And also, you said you were on the phone with a couple of governors. We don't need you to say anything, but Shelley and I are both from New York, and we don't think New York's governor was on that call. I'm done with that. Don't say anything, Governor Kemp. Don't even say anything.
Governor, we know you're busy.
I'm not saying a word. I'm not criticizing anybody else. I just let people criticize me. How about that?
My man, that's why we love you, brother. Again, we appreciate you coming on, and I do want to pass this message because last night we talked about First Lady Marty Kemp's speech tonight on Zoom at Georgia Tech about human slavery, modern-day slavery and human trafficking, and Melanie Kai was very passionate because that's a big issue with her, and so we both wanted to tell her Godspeed, and anything we can do to help her hear word on the street with that messaging, we definitely want to get behind.
Yes, sir. And go ahead, Governor.
I was just going to say we appreciate that support. I mean, what the work that she's done, the Grace Commission, the support of the legislature. We've had 2 great legislative sessions passing some really good legislation to help the victims and go after the perpetrators, and we're doing more of that this year, and we're just going to keep after it every day. And
Governor, give Marty my number. I've never been to that White House on West Paces Ferry, but I'm African American. I've got natural hair. I think it would look real good for her and I to sit down and talk about this serious issue. So I'm just saying, pass my number on. Tell Marty I respect what she's doing.
Yeah, we'll get you over there. We're not letting Shelley in. He's gonna have to earn his keep a little bit more after what happened to the runoff, so we can get him over there.
So I'm not welcome in the house no more.
Well, I didn't say you weren't welcome. Just said, it may be a little while.
My
I'm
man.
just kidding. It's your house. You can come over there if you want.
No, my man. I love you, Governor. We love you. I love you a lot. As I always tell people, you're my brother from another mother, and God bless you.
Thank you.
And you definitely have my vote in 2022. Don't you worry about that, brother.
Till Stacey Abrams gives him lines his pockets or something. I don't know, Governor. I'm keeping an eye on him for you. Thank you, Governor Kemp. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Governor.
you.
God bless you.
Have a great